Hi everyone and welcome to this DCD talk. I'm James Raddings, Digital Portfolio Lead here at DCD, and today we'll be talking about scaling Africa's digital infrastructure. And I'm delighted to be joined by Ayotunde Coker, CEO of Open Access Data Centers. How are you keeping, Ayotunde?
Oh, very well, thanks. Hi, how are you?
Good. Yeah, very well, thank you. And when I was thinking who to talk to about Africa's digital infrastructure, I couldn't think of anyone better. So I'm really glad to be with you. And before we get into some of the content, are you able to tell us a little bit more about your story and how you ended up where you are today?
Yes, um, sure. I I've been what I would call back in Africa now for the last oh 17 years, coming up to 17 years now. And I was born in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigerian dad, English mom, and went to university in the UK. And having the choice, I elected to stay. And I had various roles in the UK, Ford of Europe, in product development, IT, and moving to Capgemini in consulting through the 90s. Various roles with Egg Bank, digital services director, the first internet bank, and through to a global applications portfolio director for BP, the oil major, CTO of criminal justice. So a variety of technology roles, not in data centers. So I had wanted to get back to add to Africa. I had done quite a lot globally in Europe, in the US, and Asia. And I was headhunted into Africa by Access Bank, which was an emerging bank at the time, 2009. And I asked, well, what are the key issues? Need a data center? I said, why would you want to build a data center? Well, getting based in Lagos, in Nigeria, I realized that there weren't any colocation options. I mean, at BP, we'd gone through migrating 450 data centers across the globe into three mega data centers in the US, in UK, and Singapore. So building and operating data centers was alien to me. Well, I had to build one. We built a proper data center to right quality, enabling the bank to scale. And also, I got to really understand, being a mechanical engineer, I studied mechanical engineering, that you can't take infrastructure for granted. There's much you need to do with power and stuff like that and how you engineer data centers. So moving on from the bank 4 years after that, having overseen the technology integration of acquiring another large bank. Rack Center was starting. Rack Center is one of the large data centers in Nigeria now, a leading brand in South Africa as well. And so I took that role to start and grow Rack Center data center for the investors. And it's been actually over the last 12 years now, been in the digital infrastructure space, particularly data centers. It's been quite fascinating. I've now been CEO at Open Access Data Centers for just coming up to 4 years now, and we've grown tremendously in that time. And so that's sort of my journey into getting into data centers and digital infrastructure as a role, rather than it being part of my role as a CIO, a CTO, and a technology director.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's like, how did you get into data centers? Well, I needed one, so I built one. Perfect. So, just looking at at Africa, such a vast and varied landscape. Where do you think Africa is at the moment when it comes to its digital infrastructure sort of landscape? Really.
Well, the data center colocation business really has been, apart from the telcos that needed to build their own data centers or banks that just built theirs, telcos generally also took the opportunity to on-sell colocation capacity. The carrier neutral data center business really has been very much more in the last 15 years, with key players like Terraco building out in South Africa, for instance. And you've seen that trajectory and growth in properly focused co-location data centers, not ones that were built and then used to sell on extra space. And that's been quite a quest in the industry over the last 15 years or so. Like I said, I've been in the industry for 12 years now, and we've seen different aspects of growth. South Africa has grown significantly. I mean, Terraco's growth there has been tremendous. And you've had other players in South Africa now, and more recent players with Vantage and Equinix moving into the region. And South Africa has been a lead on the continent with about 50% of what's installed. And then you have other tier ones now growing, emerging significantly. Lagos, for instance, the capacity growth there is quite significant. Kenya, we've got. In Lagos, we have open access data centers in Lagos. You have Rack Center in Lagos. Other players also emerging in the area. IX Africa, Africa data centers in Kenya. Egypt's been growing tremendously. The same thing with Morocco and other countries. We have the first real commercial data center to go live in DR Congo, for instance, in Kinshasa, and other players like Wingu are in some of the smaller countries, Raxio, for instance. So you're starting to see the colocation business grow on the continent. I think it's on a tipping point now. Africa is so large that you can't just have single points of serving the continent. You have to have distributed scale. So Africa, I think, is on a tipping point of really realizing the scale potential that you'd expect it to have. Much more driven also, enterprises have been collocating as a matter of course now. There was a lot of education that had to be done there. You now have more cloud providers coming in, local cloud, more international cloud, content distribution networks, the OTT players, so on. And with the infrastructure and connectivity growing, subsea cable capacity growing, and the build out of that, it's natural for that scale of data center to take off. So you'll see that accelerating over the next 5 years or so. The other key thing is power. Power has been a great leveler internationally. There's not much power to meet all the data center demands. It's the same thing in Africa. But in Africa, you have abundance of gas. The other sort of the cleanest fossil approach to generation, you could get hydro, as well, geothermal sources of power. So there are broad ranges of power. The challenge is to engineer the power to suit what the facility needs, because utilities don't scale up as quickly as they need to. So that from a power point of view, it's more of a level playing field. So with that, we expect to see a more significant growth distributed across Africa. The other interesting emergence is sovereign AI, data sovereignty, the inference AI layer that now brings the small to medium language models into the operating context of the environment. The inference layer bringing active compute to drive agentic AI and embedding AI into devices, machine to machine solutions at the agentic level. That is starting to hit a tipping point now. There's a lag in terms of getting the infrastructure to meet the requirements. That's why I say you see that shift, which is happening now through the next 5 years. So it's a very interesting, diverse tipping point on the continent. For instance, in South Africa, we have over 40 data centers. About 9 core data centers, the large ones, and up 35 or so other edge data centers, we call them the smaller ones. So that's good distributed scale that we have. And we're bringing that distributed scale across the continent that's interconnected with open access, hyperscale connectivity as well. So as you see that connectivity build out, especially terrestrial, and that combination of terrestrial, subsea, and low Earth orbit connectivity, the ingredients are there for that tipping point to occur.
Yeah. And that kind of open access carrier agnostic approach is central to being called open access data centers. How come you chose that model?
It describes what it is. It's open access. The growth really is with carrier neutral data centers. I'd extend that to actually also say vendor neutral data centers. We have a very unique proposition with the Wire Group, which is which owns open access data centers as a connectivity company and the data center company. They're both open access. We've got a connectivity company that's wholesale, open access, hyperscale, subsea, terrestrial, and an open access data center company. And we bring that together as converged open digital infrastructure as a go-to-market value proposition to our clients, local and global. And that's been a very unique offer into the marketplace. And the importance of that, therefore, is that we focus on our colocation, on our sort of carrier of carriers connectivity. We don't compete with our clients. Our clients, our cloud companies, don't feel where we provide cloud, we don't do that. What we do is to have proper open access, and we stand beside and behind our clients to make them successful. Their success is our success. It's the same thing with being vendor neutral. It's the same thing where we're talking to a whole range of clients where we don't provide managed services, but we work with managed services clients. And I think that's going to be a very powerful proposition where you have the inference agentic AI level. Yeah. You start to get GPU as a service, managed service provision in providing that service as well. So we're well placed to bring in the diversity of partners that will co-locate with us, and we work together to make sure that they succeed, making sure that they succeed in our ecosystems and their success is ours. The other key thing is because we're carrier neutral, every single location we builds up a very, very rapid, a dense, a diverse, vibrant, interconnect environment. We're also open to IXs, multiple IXs, optimizing around that. And that's very important for players who want to come into an open environment, interconnect and cross-connect into routes, various diverse routes to get to the eyeballs. At the same time, having multiple pairing opportunities for optimizing their infrastructure, especially where you need to optimize in the sovereign data localization environment. It's a very unique proposition.
Yeah. And, we've spoken a little bit about South Africa. I understand you've done some, there's been some recent expansion of your footprint there, but also across West Africa. Could you talk us through a little bit about what that's been like, what prompted you to do it, and how it's going?
Yes, the acquisition of the data centers that's been in the press from NTT Data has been a key game changer in the market and for us as well. So we're able to bring our value proposition to bear in integrating those data centers into our own standard and into our standards, the common standards of driving efficiency in the data centers. But also we now have what I call distributed scale, very good sound infrastructure and assets that we're able to take into a broad market range of large enterprises, small enterprises, cloud providers, content distribution networks. And you see what the distributed scale gives us is ability to be partners to our clients, to give a primary data center, secondary data center, very good, strong distribution of vibrant interconnect locations, which brings resilience to the pairing environment in South Africa as well. So it means that we now have 3 good, strong core data centers in South Africa, in Cape Town, with Brackenfell, Rondebosch, and Bree Street in the center of town. In Joburg, we have Isando, close to the airport. We have Parklands, and Bryanston. Those are 3 solid data centers distributed across Johannesburg. And in Durban as well, we have 2 in Durban, north of Durban, and Umhlanga, and south of Durban in Amanzimtoti. That's a very compelling distribution of data centers capability. And then by having the edge data centers, about 35 of them distributed across the country at key interconnect points, it means that we're able to efficiently carry content right through to the edge point for the points of use. I think you'll see that's going to have a significant distribution impact on agentic AI, machine to machine, Internet of Things, interacting and embedding functionality efficiently into apps that already exist,
Yeah.
that are being enhanced into agentic functionality at the edge. So that really gives us this fabric of distributed scale, is the term we've been using, and efficiency, driving much more efficiency in interconnection and peering in Joburg, Cape Town, Durban primarily, but distributed across the country.
Yeah, yeah, and within that distributed scale, I know that you're based in Lagos and the operating across a continent. How do you maintain those local relationships and really embed yourself within those communities and build some of those partnerships that we've been talking about?
Okay, I mean, one, Lagos is a good place to be based in Africa. It's quite central. I can reach any part of Africa in 6 hours direct. Most of the airlines reach Lagos, sometimes perhaps with one connection point. And that enables me to reach out as required. I travel a lot, both with building the relationships with our international scale clients and the local scale content, large enterprises, cloud providers as well. But I have a great team and a group of colleagues that give us outreach across South Africa, across Africa. We have a director driving go-to-market in West. We have that in the East, and we have that in South Africa as well. So you have very good, strong outreach support. But at the same time, you can't beat the executive interaction and relationships that you can have with the very important strategic clients we have. So, I prioritize very much on making sure that we have as much interaction of FaceTime as we can. But that's supporting, great colleagues who anchor the region. We also have a distributed engineering operating capability. There is a virtual core, and then we do a global local approach to setting common standards, procurement frameworks, and so on, and executing efficiently and locally. So on the one hand, it's building relationships with the clients at the front end of the business, but it's also very important that we build very strong relationships with our key partners in our delivery and engineering supply chain, because they're key to our success. So we also make sure that we maintain that executive relationship with those partners of ours in engineering and in operational management.
Yeah, yeah, and supporting those local digital ecosystems. And I understand that your platform like Open Access Fabric. How is that? How is that kind of boosting interconnection in unfortunately an age of digital sovereignty?
Excellent, because Open Access Fabric is unique. It has a core that allows us to have a core of integration, so pairing interconnect. In what I say is also an open access IX environment. But when we then optimize that with the kind of global connectivity we have, that enables our clients to have direct on-ramp connect to the range of global cloud providers. So we're able to bring that interconnect to anywhere, global, local, the on-ramp pairing capability, and delivering highly efficient and reliable a platform and a fabric for efficient cloud connectivity. It's also great in that, as you connect to international cloud, you can optimize between international on-ramp connections with local cloud on-ramp connections, be they local to Africa, global to Europe, US, or Asia. It really provides a compelling fabric of delivering high quality service. We've gone live with this in Lagos. It's very well in Lagos. It's operating in DDR Congo now, and we'll see that platform enabling us to provide much more distributed capability to our locations on the continent.
Yeah. And looking at your model of, having quite a few sort of core data centers, but then a lot of, what we might call edge data centers, with the sort of impending shift from AI training to inferencing, how are you essentially ready for that, and how do you see that going over the next, well, I was going to say 5 years, but the rate of change is that quick. It could be
rate of change is actually it's significant, and having the range of assets we have enables us to respond reasonably quickly and efficiently to the demand. You see, in addition to that converged open digital infrastructure go-to-market strategy, we also have what we call the core to edge. It's right sizing. You have the large core data centers that have megawatts of scale to meet hyperscaler content needs, so on. But then you have a continuum of right sizing scale to the edge data centers. So we may start with a medium sized data center at a location, Kinshasa, for instance, that expands to megawatts, right? We have distributed scale in South Africa of very large core data centers right through to smaller data centers. So that core to edge strategy enables us to right size depending on where we are, the location, and the kind of value proposition we're delivering into the marketplace.
Yeah.
Not just within one country, as in South Africa, but across the continent as we expand our footprint and asset base across the continent for the converged infrastructure and connectivity, open connectivity, and open data centers with a core to edge strategy.
Yeah. I mean, certainly very exciting times, and you seem very ready for it. I suppose, final thought, what keeps you up at night?
Oh, variety. I don't particularly stay up, and
with all the
variety of challenges that keep your mind sharp and occupied with respect to how we efficiently grow the scale, cost efficiently. The world-class platforms we have, 100% uptime, operational excellence in all that we do, but also making sure that we're fully engaged in how we drive the scale, engage with our clients, grow the business, grow the market penetration, grow the scale. It's not just about us; it's also about how we do this in Africa. Rising tide raises all boats. The opportunity in Africa is huge. So we put a lot into making sure we play our part in doing what we can for driving that scale. So it certainly keeps one aware now and then. And sometimes, at night is not necessarily negative.
Yeah.
Keeping awake. It can also be a positive idea generating time.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the future growth in your organization as well. As the continent grows. So but thank you so much for your time today, Ayotunde. Really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for watching. If you do have any questions on anything we've discussed today, please do feel free to reach out to myself or Ayotunde. We'll see you on the next one. And thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks, James.